Week 6 in the O'Hara Family and Friends football picks ends up with the first time that we need to go to the tiebreaker. Both Jim O'Hara and Kim Brandt ended up with 9 wins for the week, but it was Jim who came out on top with the tiebreaker. So Jim becomes our 6th different winner in 6 different weeks as he picks up his first weekly win. But the good news for Kim is that she moves into first place overall. More on the overall standings coming up. After Jim and Kim, we had a bunch of players with 8 wins.
Mrs. Arnold, Mr. Franco, Papa, Aiden, Brady, Ugly.
Bringing up the rear for the week was the overall leader, Andy. He managed only 5 wins this week, and it hurt him in the overall standings. A special congratulations goes out to Aiden O'Hara. He was the only one to correctly pick the 2 big upsets of the week, St. Louis over Washington and Cleveland over the Giants. Thomas Franco also picked St. Louis, and Brady also picked the Browns. Before we head over to the overall standings, let's have a word from our sponsor, Subway. $5 foot long. $5 foot long. So let's turn our attention to the overall standings where there was a shakeup. As we mentioned, the combination of Kim having the weekly high and Andy having the weekly low moves Kim up 2 spots to first place in the overall standings with 58 wins. Kim has been very consistent, and she has climbed from 6th place up to 3rd and 2nd, and finally cracking the top spot this week. Right behind her in 2nd place is Bymer O'Hara with 57 wins, and after his awful week, Andy settles in at 3rd place overall with 56 wins. Next up, we have 4 players tied for 4th place with 54 wins. They are Aiden, Bob, Danny, and Jim. Jim's week allowed him to move up 6 places in the overall standings. And after being one of the worst pickers last year, Aiden is quietly putting together a pretty good little season. Next up are Chuck and Kathy Arnold and Thomas Franco with 53 wins. And right behind them are Chad Brandt, Megan O'Hara, and Tom Franco with 52 wins. Abby O'Hara has 51 wins, and then Adrian, Katie Franco, and yours truly are all tied for 15th place with 50 wins. Isabel is next with 49 wins, and Brady is pulling up the rear with 44 wins. I have to admit, my performance this year is pretty pitiful. I'm just happy that I'm still ahead of Brady for the time being. But in order to stay ahead of him, I'll have to make sure I improve in Week 7, where there are a couple of pretty interesting games. The surging Rams could take down another NFC East powerhouse if they could beat Dallas this week, and Dallas could be without Tony Romo, although it looks like he might be playing. And Cleveland could do the same thing if they could pull off an upset of Washington. In the NFC North, we have a big game of Chicago against Minnesota, and the Buffalo-San Diego game could be a really interesting matchup in the AFC. And maybe we'll have some crazy finishes like we did last week. Either way, good luck in Week 7.